Yo, this Cash. First things first, man. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel before I even get into this. But one of the things I want to say is I appreciate all our Patreon support. People who've been supporting since we even got the tiers up to kind of even give you guys what we do with Patreon. So essentially what Patreon is a proud to pay campaign. And what it does is it helps us get gear, it helps us pay for subscriptions and a whole other host of things to be able to put a product together that you guys see and hear week to week. It's only me and my guy, Mr. Prez. We do this day in and day out. We prepare, we prep, and we want to give you guys something that you can be proud of. Listen, I know we going through hard times, and that's okay. We have tiers at $3, $5, and $10. Just go read the tiers. I don't want to explain it in detail right now, but if that's something that you're interested in and seeing the podcast grow, then we highly appreciate it. Even if you can't do that, what you can do is spread it by word of mouth, passing it on to a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. Look, we got the link here at the bottom. Go support us. We appreciate you guys if you can't do it right now. And we also appreciate you just viewing and whatever you can do in the future. All right, on behalf of myself and Mr. Prez, peace and love to y'all. Enjoy the pod.
Where you going to start first? Music, sports?
Let's go ahead and start with the music first today.
All right, man. So last week, man, I called you up and I was like, hey, did this make me a non-hip hop head because I haven't listened to Project Pat, Pastor Troy, and a lot of these other down south cult classics? And then you said, no, it don't. You from at the time you was from up north, so I didn't expect you to listen to that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah. But what do you think about that? Like from the old heads now that still feel that way?
I mean, music is delivered a lot different now than it was delivered back then. So it made sense to be regional. Like you're gonna like what you like, and you paying your hard-earned money for that. But I mean, like now with the streaming services and everything, like everything is at your fingertips. But just as we were speaking on last week, how you always gonna go to whatever music that you feel resonates with you and where you grew up from. So like if it's a local artist, they're gonna speak on things that you may have experienced and you may have went through or went down the street and they know about an area and they rapping about that. You're gonna feel that a lot more than somebody who's on the, let's say, West Coast. You know what I mean? They talking about how it's always sunny. It was like, man, ain't no sun never shining over here. What are you talking about?
Right.
So you're gonna have different sets of moods and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of how the regional artists, like that's where it all originates and why it starts that way and why you would be regional biases and stuff like that. I think for us and me specifically, you know what I mean? Like we done traveled all around the world. So like my view of everything kind of like I got a little taste of everything and all these different spots all over the world. So like my taste kind of changed with what I had experienced. So I can appreciate this person over here. I can appreciate this person over here. But the underground artists, I'm still looking for whoever in that local area to big them up or, like really go out there and push them to me so I can because I'm not gonna find them. Like we just did Keenan Rush. Ain't no way we finding him on our own without somebody locally speaking on him, talking him up. It's gonna take him till he get on that bigger stage before we ever have to hear about him. Then we got to go back and listen at their catalog. So you still kind of having a regional bias. I don't feel like it's a completely bad thing. That's what I'm getting at.
No, it's not. And then I think if you ever get to the point where especially for some of the artists that you and I grew up listening to. So I bring up Project Pratt because my man D, shout out to my boy Darius, hater. But yeah, he brought it up. And then, as I kind of started to think about it as we were trying to get some subjects together or talking points, I was like, yo, it's not necessarily a bad thing because, what if I know what Project Pat does. I was in the clubs down south. That's when I started going out because I was around a bunch of Southern cats, whether that be at my first base where I was stationed at in Cali. So I had that going on. So I had a whole bunch of music as a New Yorker to listen to. I had the hyphy movement that was going, and then, just the Bay Area sound. Then I had a lot of Southern friends, and I had some Midwestern. So I got a good melting pot of everything. But the only way I can't relive some of those tracks that you love. Like I didn't live with it. I'm not sure what they're saying. Like only certain people paint pictures so vivid to where you like, damn, I got to know what they're talking about. Like I'm sure there's a lot of East Coast artists that you have no idea what Nas was talking about in Queensbridge and some of the slang he was using, but the stories he was telling made you want to know or made you want to research more. So I'm saying, like, right now, I don't have no regional bias, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go back into certain people's catalog if they're not dropping heat now. Yeah. Like, they got to drop something dope now. And kind of going back to that, like Slim Thug, for example, I'm just bringing up random guys, right? We just were talking about, I had him on one of my top OG albums of the year last year, and it's a really good album. But prior to that, you know how I got on Slim Thug? It had nothing to do with anything he did, what he's known for as far as with Houston, is when he did the album with Pharrell.
Oh, okay, yeah. What was that?
I went from ashy to classy to, something to flashy. It's some, I forgot something the name platinum. Of the album. Already Platinum. And he had some of the dopest Pharrell beats at the time. And I'm like, oh shit, he sound really good with Pharrell. And then ever since then, that was a long time ago. You know what I mean? And then ever since then, I've been a Slim Thug fan. Whatever he put out, I'm listening to, whether it be Screwed Up, whether it be a regular album with, some beats. But for me, he been hard ever since then. But it took him venturing out to do what I think that's what he intended to do. Yeah, was to venture out to get new ears to gravitate to his sound, and he had me as a fan since then. So yeah, I think in our age bracket, it still was regionalized, but it ain't nothing wrong with I'm not gonna bash you no more. Like the younger me would have bashed you. Well, you ain't never heard this Jay-Z, The Reasonable Doubt, or whatever the case may be, because some cats in the South still don't F with Jay-Z like that.
I mean, we still ain't on the memes, man, like y'all were. I mean, that's crazy.
That does not acknowledge your response. That does not acknowledge your response.
Own your people.
I can't, man. There's a lot of one-hit wonders. You want to start? You want to start? No, you want to start going back with the one-hit wonders?
Leave it at memes. We're going to leave it at memes.
Yeah, let's leave it at memes. But nowadays, man, I think it's so much easier, man. Like, I can't tell where a lot of people are from nowadays because, I think this generation that listens to hip hop, they listen to everything because they're exposed to everything, like you said. So I think it's a beautiful time now to be an artist, man.
Yeah, I mean, and then the conversations they had, like we all talking to the people, like, that can be right here beside us. I mean, but they growing up on these video games and, like, having been online gaming, the social media. So everybody is there filtering into their day-to-day, unlike it was back when we didn't have all that technology at our hand. I mean, I don't want to try to sound old. I mean, but like that's the damn truth. Like it wasn't there like that.
It was a mystique of artists too. Like however they rap, you thought they really were, and now you get to know that a lot of them are actually cornballs, and you don't like them as a result of that. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of little factors that go into liking an artist, and it doesn't really matter where they're from at this point, because of all the stuff that they have to offer. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like I said, man.
No. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, like I said, man, respect that you always gonna have that. Like your boy Darius, you said it was like he always gonna have that respect for Project Pat, and you're gonna hold him into a higher relevance that anybody who championed memes back in the day is gonna have respect for him. So that's just the way it is, man. So just keep putting people on, but pointing to songs instead of like you're saying, instead of
like if you want me to listen to somebody that I don't know, either point me to their best album or just give me 12 tracks. Just give me
a playlist,
and then I'm gonna listen to the best of, and then I'll do my own research from there if I like it from there. But don't just point me to a random album that you lived with all this time and expect me to listen to this shit. Like, I'm not going to capture that same feeling because I'm not riding around in the old school. I'm not, hanging out with my friends, doing dumb shit at the age, where you do dumb shit. Like, I just can't relive it. But other joints, I possibly can that I live with. So it's just one of those things where it's dope, man. And that Project Pat was kind of cool.
So, what do y'all think? Do y'all think it's reasonable bias? Do you still think it's a good thing, a bad thing? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Hit us up on our Instagram, Twitter, wherever you think.
All right, so next up, man, another subject. Why do we allow certain artists to remain the same, but we want growth out of other artists? So are we hypocrites, Prez? Because we said this about Wayne, but then we give Pusha T a pass. Drake, he hasn't really grown in subject matter, so to speak. He's kind of always been himself, so he's kind of done the same things over and over again. His sound has evolved, but generally, he hasn't changed.
I mean, yeah, his writers do evolve, so he gets different sounds.
Hey, man, all that matters is at the end when the beautiful music come out, right?
No, Drake, we just telling it like it is. No disrespect.
Anytime somebody say disrespect, they about to come with a whole lot of disrespect.
Back look on. Yeah, we don't need that. I don't want that smoke. I don't need it, man. But I'm just telling it like it is. Yeah, on that, man, it's just yeah, man. Some of the artists like you got your. So you always have your underground artists, and you want them to like hold that sound. You want them to hold that
you
moment.
You like overprotective.
Yeah. You ain't much like telling everybody about this one because you don't care. You don't want them to get too much fans and have to chase something.
Why? Why are you so overprotective? Why?
You don't want them to chase something and lose that sound that you find as your grounded, your little space. You know what I mean? Like no matter what's going on, where I can always go back to this artist, and when they drop something, it's gonna keep me. It's gonna bring me back down to this point. You know what I mean? It's that type of feel with it, and you always want something like, oh, I could put you on to this. Everybody wants to have that feeling like they can put somebody on to something. So that's kind of why you always want one of them in your back pocket, and you kind of don't want them to, change too much. But you do want to see them continually putting out music, keeping their fan base, keeping their family fed, and all this stuff. You want them to succeed.
But you don't want them to succeed too much.
Yeah. I want you to do better than me. But I don't want you up there on the Kanye level. I don't know how you're going to turn out if you got to that stratosphere. Do you flip like him and I just say revert? Come on, man. I want the old Kanye. That's what we're going to say. That's what you
Yeah, because a lot of people don't handle the success well. So you kind of always want that old Kanye like everybody jokes about, but it's kind of true. But me, man, I want everybody to discover. I'm a little bit different. Like I want everybody to discover the artist that I champion because now I feel like they're gonna win. Like case in point, Benny the Butcher.
Yeah.
Like I've been on Benny since West Side Gun started putting out his joints. I think the first one I really liked was Conway actually. And I heard him on Conway's album. It was like a song called Rex Ryan with Rock Marciano, Conway, and I forget the other person on the song. Damn, it was somebody fire. I think Smoke DZA. Okay. Smoke DZA was on it. Correct me if I'm wrong later in the comments. But anyway, so that's when I started listening to them. And then like a few years later, I always knew he was dope. I always knew Conway was dope in West Side Gun. But then a few years later, now look at what they've become.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I want to champion that sound because I want that sound to be the norm. I want these guys to be able to, any artist to be able to do exactly what they want to do and be successful off of it. And these guys just happen to be smart about it. So I'm not picky and choosy with my artists. It's just that once you get to that level, I hope and trust that you're gonna be able to maneuver them different decisions that you got to make the right songs when you're coming out with your project. Because at the end of the day, when people that I've been trying to put you on to that's listening, when they drop an album that you finally want to listen to, I don't want you coming back talking no shit. So I need it to be consistent. You know what I mean? So I think that's where I run into it. Like, come on, don't drop no dud. And then the joint, with Benny in this case, the example, Hit Boy drop, and now everybody said it.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful, wonderful feeling as a fan to be able to be like, I told y'all he was cold. And it was undeniable. That's what everybody said. He probably had
You can put him up
the best album of the year last year.
Yeah,
You know,
and you can put that body of work up to any other body of work, and it can stand. Go tit for tat with it.
all it is like your favorite player. You just want to be able to talk shit about your favorite player. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I find that just very much like how y'all do T.I. You know what I mean? Y'all constantly want them to, kind of.
But some people like what T.I. just dropped last year.
Yeah, it's decent.
You just happen to be one that
I liked a couple songs on there. I ain't saying that, man.
Do you think he hasn't grown, or do you think the way he's handling how he's putting out music nowadays is that more of your concern?
I think we talked about this at one point. I don't know if it was on. No, it wasn't on here. I was just on the phone call where I just said, like, man, the way he talked earlier in his career on the tracks, if you just felt like he was just like talking like how it is, where he's from, and all this little stuff and everything, right? But then later on, I think like after the third or fourth stint in jail, he started coming with that. Oh, I'm gonna come out with these prison vocabulary.
Apology.
No, the prison vocabulary words and like expositionally and all this little nonsense and trying to fit all that up. And then it's just like every time that he does that, it kind of takes me out of a song with him. And it's just like, come on.
I think it was the rebrand too, man.
Yeah.
Like he had to do he didn't have to do the thing, but like the family show and doing all those different type of things to kind of get out of that bad limelight he was in. So I think it was all calculated to a certain extent. But I mean, I think the last few projects that he's dropped hasn't been bad. I just think that they haven't been like super duper focused. I think they're just a random collection of songs that get put out as an album. Except for that T.I. versus Us. I know that was
the Libro scale, like that one was highly like focused, and he thought about the message that he was trying to get on there. It was okay. I mean, ain't nothing. Like I said, like it was good.
It's not wrong. Nothing wrong with putting out an album that jams, but not necessarily championed by everybody. Yeah.
I mean, and then like, how many gems like do people get? Like, we know he has like one. I mean, just be happy with your classic. A lot of people don't get those classic albums. You know what I mean? Don't even have the opportunity to make them. So
a lot of people just drop a lot of good, but not great. You know what I mean? And it's very rare that you even get to be considered with having a classic album, but. Kind of switching gears, or why do we allow certain people to stay the same? Is it because they do what they do at such an elite level that you're like, I can take this in a different form every single time? It's like eating your favorite food. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That'd be like Cudi, in my opinion, just how we was picking up.
Is
Cudi.
he gonna be depressed forever?
After
we reviewed the album, somebody I was talking about was like, yo, I can't believe y'all like the Cudi that much. And I was like, listen, man, like sometimes I'm in a mood to where I want to listen to what he's saying. And but he takes you into that zone too.
Yeah.
But he's great at what he does, and to deny it would be foolish just because you've never been in those different type of life experiences that he's had. You know what I mean? But do you want him to grow and because if he grows, guess what? He's actually really good. Like, everything's good, but
then would he lose his sound, the definition of why you came to him? Like that's like when you got those type of people that's like that, and they never came on with just like, oh, it's all their lyrical skill. It's like, how they can do all this. Like they own a sound, a moment, like, or whatever. Like you want them to keep capturing that. And you're kind of nervous if they step outside of it. Will it always work?
I think he's capable of it because he's like a strong songwriter, and you know that based on his work with everybody in good music.
Yeah, but
because
he done had those other albums though. But the Man on the Moon 3, when it came back to like where he started, like
he did his thing.
That's what works, and it's just. Yeah.
And we also brought up why don't we, and I got 3 artists that all fall in a different pocket, and you tell me why do they fall in a different zone for you?
Okay.
Pusha.
Man. So he does the drug rap, but he does it so well, and he's always bringing something new and intricate to his bars, his lyrical scheme, like all this little stuff. Like he's adding something that, and then the energy that he always deliver his bars with is just consistent as well. So it just sounds good musically, sonically. Like it does every time, and it grabs your attention. It hasn't failed him yet. So why should he have to change at that point, or why would you want him to change if none of his material or his content is getting stale like others who kind of use those same gun bars and everything.
And because I know you, the next artist, Currency.
How many laid back flow albums you gonna have, bro? Like, can you switch it up a little bit?
See, see how where it comes up. Like certain people, I think it all boils down. I'll get to my point. Next person, Wayne.
Man, it's you went there, you elevated, and then you kind of like went back downhill. It seems like I think his is more though because he's so detached from everybody and everything. So where he had this great material coming up and he had all these rhyming schemes and he had these people that he can constantly like cipher with, I think he kind of probably lacking that. Everybody around him pretty much is turning to a yes man. Yeah, that's hot. Nobody's really like telling them like no or nothing. Like I don't know. This is my assumption. I'm not around Wayne. I'm not a lot of people around Wayne from what I understand. So like you don't really know. And all his songs that was a little bit more personal and stuff like this, it seemed like he didn't kind of step back a little bit away from those. I mean, those was the mixtape cuts that you really felt like when he actually like even on what was it the Carter 2 when he's talking about that the intro when he's going through all the stuff that he done went through with his label with his label mates and all them left, but he said, hey, you know, but let's quit talking about that. Let's not spoil our lunch, you know. Mm-hmm. But he opened up, and you was on that journey with him, like on the other side of it, seeing just like, hey, this whole record company is breaking up. And then when he gave you that inner side, just like how he felt and how it was tearing him apart, man, it was like a great music. It filled you in, and it gave you a more in-depth story and background to what was going on in life that you had followed. So I think that's kind of where it is. But now he seemed to be on the wrong side of the way everybody is thinking. So I'm not really engaged, even if he came out with a song like that. Why did you sell your records for $100 million? You come out to tell me, like, no matter what you tell me at this point, I'm like, bro, you undersold your worth, in my opinion. And I don't think you ever gonna like sway my. You ever gonna sway my thoughts on that? Like, or a lot of people, like 100 million, Wayne, like you was the world to everybody else. So, and you just let it go cheap. Don't know what's going on in your life, whatever. But then, even if that's what's going on, it's still like, where did the money go, and how did it all go wrong, and why did you need to sell out when so many other artists and the movement that we're doing is going in the opposite direction of trying to gain our masses, and you want to sell it. So I think that's going to be kind of a hard sell on that. And then in all your songs, everybody told you, the people who left that label told you what Baby was. So now if you come out with, oh, this is what happened in a Baby song, it's just like, we don't care, Wayne, because everybody told you that for 20 years. You just decided to ignore it. So I think you can't even. He's not going to be able to get us back with telling those personal stories no more. Because
he's gonna have to. He's gonna have to talk about exactly what he's going through. He's gonna have to address the I won't say backlash, but the lukewarm responses from the mixtapes, from the deluxe albums and the stuff that he's putting out. He's gonna have to address like why. Okay, I put out this album because I was contractually out. Like, he's gonna have to do it in a creative way to bring us back, and it's gonna have to be somebody that gets him focused. But again, these guys are getting a little bit older, and I'm not sure if they've never really given me like a super in-depth album from them, like a Nas has, like a Jay has, and countless others, man. If they haven't really given it, Eminem, you know, he's been super honest about his upbringing and stuff like that, but I think at this point, a lot of these guys that we're talking about are in a position to put out exactly what they want, but they still lean on that formulaic approach, formula. You know what I mean? That worked all their career. And of course, they may be a creature of habit, but some guys it works for, and some guys adjust and adapt to the times. Perfect example, and I know they give him shit for his current event bars, Fabulous. You know what I mean? Jada Kiss, like those are some of the guys that stood the test of time because it's the flow and they've been consistently, I won't say realer than most, but I would just say they've been consistent in staying up to date with what's going on with cats that are coming up and also with just the current trends and stuff like that, whether that be social media, whether that be technology and just the sound of hip hop at the time. So, and some guys do it well, some guys just don't. And, and I think that's what it is, man. Do you age well with the time? So some guys, I'm with it. They make the connection and they've always been solid mentally. And some guys, because of the drugs and different things that they go through, can't really, once they off the top of that throne where everything comes easy, it's hard to really come back to what they really love, which is rhyming. You know what I mean? So, that's where I'm at with it, man. But
and then before people give you, because everybody always jump in comments, man, and saying, please watch these videos all the way to the end. We do talk about all this stuff and tell you reasons why. If you listen at it. But on the Currency thing, what I'm saying is like I can handle like one album. Like he just puts out too much of the same. Like if Currency probably dropped one album every one and a half year, every 2 years, I'll probably be singing a different tune. But we get like one album that'd be, and then you get a mixtape with 15 songs in, and it's like, but they all have that same low, just high type vibe. Like, you know what I mean? That's how you got to be just laid back listening to them, which it works for his fan base and everything.
I treat Kanye kind of how our friends treat our podcast.
What?
I get to it when I get to it. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I'm just like, unless somebody really says, oh, it's super fire. Like, I do not discard it, but I listen to it. Okay, I'm in the mood to hear that. I may be up here in the studio doing some editing or maybe doing something like that. Then I got Currency on low in the background. And then when I hear some shit that he got, which is typical, or a feature, I'm like, God damn, him and Harry Fraud did it again. Oh, damn, him and Alchemist did it again. So it's just he's one of those guys that I have to listen to him different. I've adjusted my way of listening to him. I can't catch every single thing that he does because he does have different type of zones, but typically it's the one that you describe.
Yeah.
Super laid back. They're not a lot of, contrary to popular belief, it's not all about weed and stuff like that. But that's kind of his shtick, laid back approach. And sometimes I just want to hear him over different production, but the production somehow always finds its way back to his pocket and not necessarily
making him evolve or come to the sound a little bit more.
So yeah, man. Some guys I'm cool with it. Some guys is not. It's really all depends on your personal preference. At the end of the day, it's personal preference. So that's why certain people get a pass. That's the easiest way to say it. Some people just do it well, and some people keep up with it, but.
But I will say what we have talked about, all these people, they have been around for a while. So if it's not me who's not liking it, they have the people who do like their music, and that's allowing them to still survive and, still do the thing that they love and continue to make money off of it. So I want to applaud them for that too.
And keep on. Yeah, even if I don't listen to it, if any of these artists that we discussed and anybody else that fall into that type of category, if they drop something fire, let me know, because as much as I talk shit about it, I'm still going to go listen. I want to hear the fire.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one missing out on some dope shit when that artist finally does get it right that has been, kind of in the middle of the lane,
Big Sean, Detroit too. Y'all see where I came around on that, and how, like, if you heard me talk about Big Sean before then, it was like nobody would have thought that.
I'm never not at all. I was super surprised with that as your first album. But if y'all like this type of conversation, or y'all want us to address other questions that come up when you just discussing hip hop with your friends and your homies, let us know. Drop that in the comments. Put that in our ratings. Drop that in there. Also, we got to be intentional this year, right?
Man, give a like. Man, if you've been watching this right now, give a like, man. Shoot us a comment, something, man. Help us, like, you can shoot us up the community.
Yeah, you can shoot us up so much further, and I think we got the look. I think we got the sound that you guys can champion at this point. So if you, whatever streaming services you're listening to this podcast on, if you can go back and rate it, definitely do so. Subscribe on there. Alert yourself. I mean, just every time we put something out, sometimes we might be busy. We just might put out the podcast and not have time to do social media because we work too. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. So definitely do that. Follow us on at Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. That's on Facebook. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at DSC_podcast. So you can catch us in those 3 forums. I definitely think we're going to do something with Twitch here shortly. We're going to start getting on Twitch and figuring that thing out. We old, but we got some young dudes that's going to hook us up.
I think we may just go more of YouTube Live for certain things.
YouTube Live might be the thing. So definitely subscribe on YouTube and set your alerts. So, but with that said, Prez, I want y'all to come right back. We're going to take a brief break and we're going to get into some music that we listening to this week, and also the albums that we're going to highlight, which is Jasmine Sullivan's Hotels, and also Griselda and BSF's Conflicted. We'll be right back.